Welcome back. It's time now for the viewer question this morning. It's looking like there will not be a majority party in a number of councils, forcing the establishment of coalitions. So a question to you this morning is, do you have confidence in coalition governments? You can either vote yes or no on eNCA.com. You can also have your say on eNCA, at eNCA on Twitter, including Facebook, where we are eNCA News. Just leave in a comment there and we'll be sure to share it with you later. So speaking of which, let's get some analysis right now on those election results coming in. Election analyst Wayne Sussman and political commentator Jan-Jan Joubert join me now to get into what we're looking at so far from the IEC. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and welcome. I mean, just before we get into the results nationally, how they're looking, are you both confident in the process of, voter counting and the speed at which the IEC had promised to ensure that they conclude? Or do you think that perhaps they may have, overpromised last night that they would obviously be done? And obviously, this is what we're looking at right now. Yeah.
Absolutely, and anyone could see that. What surprises me is that the IEC keeps making these promises that they cannot keep. I watched yesterday as they made that promise, and I looked at the province of Limpopo and at what was outstanding. And I said, that's not possible. So I think the IEC needs to take a deep breath and start playing an open hand. Because at this stage, a trust deficit is beginning to develop. A trust deficit was a term that was first used in the Nixon White House, when people stopped believing what the president was saying. He said something, they wouldn't believe it's true. We're not there with the IEC, but we're getting there, and they must stop doing that.
Right. And do you think they're not telling us more, just your perspective on the same question, are they not telling us more about potential hiccups that they are going through? I mean, we know online systems were part of the problem just during the voting process alone. So what could be delaying the IEC here?
I think there's a general level of exasperation. It's been clear from the list process debacle that the IEC, which is an organisation I have great respect for, because they're there to ensure free and fair elections, but a lot of the milestones have been missed. We were supposed to be at the 90% mark last night. I don't even think we're at 60% yet. So that is frustrating for candidates. It's frustrating for party volunteers. However, we're going to be here the whole day to unpack those results. So the IEC must speed up so we can continue to bring the viewers that information. But it is, as you say, very frustrating.
Absolutely, and you're right. I mean, not even 60% of votes are counted yet. Around 58%, we understand, have been voted. But let's look at perhaps starting with the likes of, Gauteng here. 48% voting, we understand, has already been done. In Tshwane alone, the DA seemingly there with 35.18%. The ANC with 32.4% as it stands. When we look at the numbers so far, I mean, what do they tell us? I mean, only 58% of the votes counted. Is it too soon to almost tell and project which party will be taking which, metro?
Not at all. We've been doing that since yesterday, and our model holds. In fact, where there is a difference between our model and the votes counted, it's often because many of the votes are still to come in and are from specific areas. I will take City of Cape Town as an example, where the DA at this stage is doing much better than we projected. That is because the areas to the southwest of the city, southeast of the city, sorry, southwest of the city is the sea. Southeast of the city is Langanyanga, Kailicha, Crossroads. Those votes are yet to come in. They are not as many votes coming in as people might expect because of the low turnout in those areas, but it will switch that 61%, which is currently on screen for the Democratic Alliance, I believe, down to, we believe, between 57 and 58%. Right. It will level out.
Yeah, and you mentioned just such an important point about the low voter turnout. And when you're speaking about this, 26 million registered voters, only 8 million coming to vote. Surely that has a huge impact on the numbers we're seeing, of course, so far.
And I think that's one of the reasons why the IEC is so exasperated, that on the one hand, I found them less, look, they had a shorter time scale, but I think a lot more could have been done to remind people of the importance of the local government elections. This is an absolutely critical election. This election isn't about foreign policy or social policy or economic policy. This is about roads. This is about sanitation. This is about refuse collection. This is about lights on and a water infrastructure working in your town or city across South Africa.
Yeah.
So when one sees the low turnout, and remember, there's a key difference here. When one looks at local government elections, the turnout has been upward in the last 3 elections, whereas the turnout in national and provincial elections have been downward precisely for those reasons about, I think, South Africans realizing the importance of a local government election. So the fact that turnout has plummeted way below the low marks of 2006,
right.
we're going to be below 48%, which was the mark in 2006, is very, very worrying. Are more South Africans getting apathetic? Are more South Africans saying that there's not a political solution or a political alternative to the woes which face our towns and cities right now? And that concerns me greatly, because we want South Africans to participate in our democracy. We want those councillors and mayors who can be elected in the coming days to have the opportunity to change the fortunes and destiny of the towns and cities they're going to be governing.
Absolutely. Jan, you want to add in there?
Yes, absolutely. And I think much of the blame for that must be laid before the governing party. And why I say that is the differential turnout. The people voting in the traditionally opposition areas, whether they be in the IFP areas or in the DA supporting areas, they turned out in their numbers. The people who stayed away are very often the supporters of the governing party. The governing party needs to ask itself, why do people absolutely not want to vote for us? That is the question. It's almost the same question as the IEC. When things go wrong, stop blaming everyone else and giving us smart solutions. Change your behavior.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, interestingly, I think these numbers will definitely force the ANC to reflect on actually where they went wrong.
Yeah. From your lips to God's ears, please.
I think on that point, not just the ANC, and not just the DA, but the EFF as well. So the 3 major parties in South Africa, and the EFF's numbers might go up slightly, don't get me wrong, but I think that they expected a lot more out of this election.
Yeah, they did.
So this is interesting. Can the ANC, can the DA, can the EFF galvanize their members of parliament, their members of provincial legislature, the hundreds or thousands in other parties' cases, in the ANC's party's case, galvanize the elected representatives and say, we have no choice, but we have to do better in serving our constituents. We have to do better in delivering to our communities, otherwise the voters will punish us again.
All right, unfortunately, due to time, I have to leave it there. Wayne, Jan-Jan, thank you so much for speaking to me.